Hello YouTube, Bren here. This video will be about a complete teardown of my Deimos build. A lot of people have been asking for build advice, stuff like that, and a lot of stuff gets lost as far as details in just screenshots. So I hope this clarifies some misconceptions and some hidden stuff like that. Um, Overall, the Deimos I think is a great PvP ship. I think it's definitely at at minimum the top three PvP ships in the game. It definitely fits my playstyle, my flying style. It's great seating. Uh, yeah, no complaints here. If anything, I usually swap it out for a legendary Jemadar ship, which you just lose some crit severity, stuff like that. But overall, it's a great ship, especially for newer players to get into. Um, you know, as long as you have the EC to get it, obviously. So with that being said, you can get it off the exchange. Usually they range from 400 to 600 mil, I think. You could also get off the Zen store in one of the packs. I think it's a or the escort bundle. But all right, so let's get into this. Now, I want to preface with you're going to see a lot of gold, a lot of upgrade items, stuff like that. For newer players, this can be kind of, intimidating. Don't be intimidated by it or anything as far as, you don't have to have everything gold. Mark 15, yes, you want to strive for everything to be a Mark 15, but Epic, you don't have to. When you're upgrading stuff and you're just going for Epic, really all you're doing is chasing those little DPS numbers, which you do want to do eventually over the course of time, but it's not, I have to get all these Phoenix upgrades and upgrade everything Epic. Mark 15 will definitely get you into Arena, and you'll be able to hold your own. So, depending on the circumstance, depending on who I'm fighting and stuff like that, I might swap out these builds for different loadouts. So I have different loadouts. I'll keep an eye on the combat log. If I'm taking a large amount of damage or I'm not putting out enough damage, I'll swap things out on the fly, or I'll just change the loadout entirely. Let's start with our weapon. So this first weapon you can get from the Lobby store. There's plenty of other options you could do for weapon loadouts, stuff like that, but this is really what works for me. This is kind of a turnoff for a lot of PvPers because the 90-degree targeting arc. Typically PvP, everyone's moving fast, people are phasing in and out, there's all kinds of lights and very distracting. So it's kind of hard to keep that targeting arc, on your enemy. For me, I don't have this problem. I think it just comes down to, knowing what your ship can do, knowing how to deal with placates, that sort of thing. With that being said, I'm not really relying on this too much to actually be a weapon. I really like the set bonuses it gives. Set 2, and I'm running a 3-piece set on this, so that set 3 bonus it's a huge bonus to a lot of different things. It keeps me alive. It keeps my weapons running a little bit harder. So I really like this. This has worked really well for me. So with any weapon set, you really what it comes down to is this little proc right here. All right, -1 to -20, all damage resistance ring. All right, it doesn't have to be exactly that one, but any weapon you have, you want a proc, at least one of the procs if you're running a 2 proc weapon, to bring down resistance rings on your opponent. That is crucial, absolutely crucial. So if you couldn't buy anything Lobby, all you would have to do is load up your 4 weapons and your aft weapons with things that just bring down their resistance ratings. All right. I chose the corrosive plasma for this. It's nice. The proc is there for the resistance rating. Obviously, it also gives a little bit of extra plasma damage. It ignores shields. So I run 3 of these. And let's go over to the piezo plasma beam. This can be had from the Lucari rep store. Yeah, they make a Polaron and a plasma. This is the plasma build. So no brainer, a plasma would be here. I don't really rely on this for damage either as far as, its primary damage. The proc I definitely don't rely on. But that one down there, that little 5% chance to apply the protomatter regenerative influx. That's kind of nice. Really, why people, and I don't see any build where people are not using a piezo weapon, whether it be plasma or polaron, is its hidden proc. So occasionally you're going to see in your combat log, if you're tracking it, technical overload. And it's this huge numbers, sometimes in the hundreds of thousands, where it's the end all be all, it's the final blow. That's what makes people pop. It's a hidden proc, so if you want to play around with it, I would definitely advise having this on every build. Your choice, plasma or polaron, but this is a plasma build, so there it is. Our aft weapon, so this ultimate modified plasma omni, it does have a set bonus, which I really enjoy. I'm all about trying to pair stuff up. Back in the day, nothing went on my builds if it did not help out another console or another weapon in some way. I've kind of drawn away from that a little bit. It's way too specific, and I mean, you're kind of limiting yourself. So this does have a set 2 bonus. It's a nice little, damage boost, I guess you could say. But it's only because I'm also running the ultimate swarmer over here. We'll get to that. Our torpedo, I'm not big on torpedoes as far as PvP. I know some people can make it work where you get those shields down and boom, you hit them with them torpedoes, but this is not it. This is mainly here only for the set bonus, and especially with a 30-second recharge rate, I'm not relying on this for a whole lot of damage. So yeah, it ties into that isolytic 3-piece. That's the only reason it's there. Moving on to our experimental weapon. So I usually swap this out depending, but I kind of like this. It does give a huge impact for damage. It also has some damage resistance ring negation there, which is awesome. And the 4-second recharge is incredible. It's the there's several experimental weapons out there that have low recharge rates. You can also opt for the Voice of the Prophets. This is a huge blow. It's usually the end-all be-all blow, but with a 6-second recharge rate, every second matters in PvP. The one I usually swap out for is the Soliton Wave Impeller. This can be had from the Rising Corvette, which if you were here 4 years ago, I think it was an event ship. So I have it on every account. This is really nice because of the weapon haste, and it affects the speed and turn rate of people. So I really like it. A 4-second recharge, it fits for my playstyle. Let's go on our devices. So our red matter capacitor, I believe this is from the Phoenix store. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have. If you watch the other videos as far as devices, this is something you need to have in your device slot. A great boost to all your power levels for 30 seconds. It's a good recharge time. It's pretty much a staple in every build. This is nice, but you have to be careful with this one. This is a mission item. I can't remember off the top of my head which mission. I know it's the Section 31 guy, Drake, that gives it. But this is really nice. You get a damage resistance rating of plus 34 for 15 seconds, plus a plus 15 defense rating for 15 seconds. Again, a really good cooldown time, but you gotta watch the proton damage. So if somebody, for some weird reason, is running a proton weapon, which there are only 2 in the game, I believe, or 3, yeah, you're going to feel it. A negative 400 damage resistance rating. You're going to feel that. So if they time it right, it could definitely be devastating for you. I might swap this out depending on what I need, but for the most part, I pretty much keep it there. Again, I'm always watching the combat log, so if I see somebody using a proton weapon, yeah, it just comes off. It's not a problem. So to the devices I use for this ship, this is a T6X. So normally it only has 3 slots, but with the upgrade, you get a fourth additional device slot. Deuterium surplus and our batteries. So I primarily only run the lithium batteries. The reason for this, and I covered this in the device video, the lithium batteries give you a 2-piece bonus. So a plus 75 for weapon and auxiliary. All right. Crafted batteries, you only get plus 100 of one of those. I like to divide it out. And weapons, it's very important. Auxiliary is even more important for this build. And we'll go into why, auxiliary is very, very important for this. Deuterium surplus, you could use this offensively or defensively. If you're, taking a beating or you're getting jumped, get out quick, get some recharge rate on your bridge officers, get back in. Or, you zalled somebody, they were on the run, you don't want to wait the 2 minutes, so catch up to them. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Very good to have. Again, I covered all these devices in another video, so you guys can watch that. Shield, it's pretty much a staple in any PvP build that I've seen. I mean, that is a good one at least. Yeah, this is a really good shield. It's from the Discovery Rep store. This is part of a set. I only need the 2-piece set because with the 2-piece you get plus 120% hull regen. That's insanely huge. Insane. Again, staple. Absolute staple. I have this, so depending on what I'm doing, I might re-engineer this. Right now I just have it, negating disruptor and plasma and then a little bit of all energy damage. But normally, if I know somebody's doing something, like if I'm in a 1v1, I got the combat log up and I see I'm taking a lot of plasma damage, I'll really quick respec this. It takes all of, 20 seconds, and respec it to just reduce all plasma damage. Yeah, so it's on the fly things like that you have to make little adjustments. Obviously, for fun Vs, friendly PvP, stuff like that, I'm not going to bother doing that. But if I'm in Karat or if I'm in a 1v1 and I'm trying to, really compete, yeah, I'll definitely re-engineer things. Deflector, this one's running the Jemadar deflector. You could also run the Elite Fleet deflector. That's really nice, and for the longest time, that's what I ran. The Jemadar deflector can be had from the, it's a mission. I think it's Operation Gamma. I could be wrong, don't quote me, but it is a mission awarded item. This is nice because this lets me see people, and what I mean by that is PvP is full of, stealth and placates and all this crazy stuff. This really, really helps with seeing people. The control expertise is awesome. It does give a 2.5% starship stealth detection, and the perception is awesome as well. You just want to make sure this is spec'd correctly. This is spec'd for Crit X/Drain X. That was for a Drain build I was doing, which was successful. I enjoyed it. But I'll probably be swapping that out. But you really, really want a lot of Crit X. So, alright. Moving on, prevailing fortified impulse engines. So this could be had from the competitive store. Not the store, the rep store. Yeah, it's, spec for sector speed, and that's about it, really. So you could get a bunch of these different ones, depending on what kind of ability you're using, bridge officer ability. This is pretty much for, I use a lot of engineer stuff, so I'm always doing engineering stuff. So I'm always getting these boosts right here. It's incredible. If you're tack heavy in your bridge officer abilities, there's one for that. Science heavy, there's one for that. So, I haven't really found any other impulse engines that are comparable to this. I mean, the drop off on performance is, it's so large that nothing really compares that I've found. Completing our 2-piece set for the disco set is our mycelial harmonic core. It's just a warp core, but it's there for the set bonus. Yeah, that's Not a lot to say on this one. All right, so we're going to go up to our engineering consoles. So again, um, as we go through this build, you're going to see there's a lot of placates, there's a lot of stealth, there's all kinds of stuff where we don't need to heal as much. So we're focusing more on putting damage out. This console here, Cascading Subatomic Disruptions, is a great one. This is a clicky, and it gives a huge -40 all damage resistance range for 10 seconds. So this coupled with, things like sensor scan and stuff like that, it really, really will hurt people. Yeah, we'll get into tactics and when to activate stuff later on. Our bioneural infusion circuits, this can be had from the Lobby store. Awesome, awesome boost to control. This is a very big control-based build, and also crit severity. You will see that I'm always drooling over getting more crit severity. Love crit severity. Also a great boost to hull capacity, but mainly I put this on solely for the crit severity, then control expertise as well. Our enhanced induction coils. This is kind of one of them hidden consoles that, it's not a secret, but it's not really known. So this can be gotten off of it's a T1 Bird of Prey, I think. I could be wrong. It's a T1 Klingon ship, I know that. But you get the console off of that, and it's an incredible boost to all your power settings. This is what allows the ship to have so much auxiliary power. And if you look, I'm flying in auxiliary mode. So that little thing down there, as far as weapons and engineering, speed, all that, I'm always flying in auxiliary mode. And look at that, 115. All right. So as you proc all this stuff, everything's draining power. Obviously, you're going to stop shooting weapons because you have no more power there. Well, between the weapons battery and that booster, you have plenty of power to keep on shooting. So it is become pretty much a staple, and I would say 99% of my builds. It's a great little console. It's definitely worth the slot. Our weapon sensor enhancer, again, I think this is from the Lobby store. It's a great console. Huge boost to accuracy, and we'll talk about accuracy and what that means. Pretty much, you want a minimum of 100 accuracy. If you look here, accuracy rating at standstill in space for this is 153. As long as you're at minimum of 100, and we'll talk about what that means, you'll be all right. The whole plating is very nice, but again, there's that control expertise. Love some control expertise. We go down here. Once again, that control expertise. The accuracy rating is nice, but that control expertise. Now, this also has a really nice clicky to it. Forceful inspection. You hold the target for 5 seconds, and after that, they have an incredible -50 all damage resistance rating, and they're pretty much slow as hell. Yeah, that damage resistance rating coupled with our cascading subatomic disruptions coupled with sensor scan, they're pretty much they're done for. It's just a matter of timing. Obviously, this is holding the target for 5 seconds. Then after that, it procs the 10 seconds of -50. So you might want to click on this, wait your 5 seconds, placate them a little bit, and then hit all your clickies. Hit your, cascading subatomic disruption, your sensor scan if you're science pilot, and then just, balls to the wall, all your tact stuff, and just, you're going to see them drop very quickly. Some people have gotten away from hull image refractors. I still find it very nice. This is kind of a paper build. It's relying a lot on placates and stealth. Pretty much, you're not taking any damage because you're not being hit, but in the event you are, you want to be able to have some, healing there. So it's also very generous, 20% all damage. So That is very nice to have. Now this did get nerfed, but I'll let you read into that and everything. Just know that it is working. It's just a little bit different from how it was before. This ties into our ultimate Omni over our weapons as a set bonus, but a really nice boost to accuracy and our crit chance. This also puts out a ultimate drone, which again I covered in my devices and summons video. This is really nice because you just have one more thing that the player might target other than you. One more distraction. I'm not really relying on the little guy to go out there and win some wars, but it's nice to have. And again, it's part of the set bonus. Pretty self-explanatory here. Colony Proto Matrix Infusers. I mean, in the event that I do take damage, I'm pretty much, each one of these has a 25% chance to apply the restorative Proto Matrix, which is a huge, huge hull healing. You run 4 of them, you're going to be healing. This procs off of special firing modes, and we'll get into that as we go through our bridge officer seating. I have 2 different firing modes, and it's proccing these pretty much, all the time. Last for our universal is our piezoelectrical focuser. Now this does have a set bonus with our Lucari piezo beam. Really, it's just a great way to get more damage, plasma damage, and a great flight turn rate. The shield capacity I'm not too worried about. This is more of a hull build, not a shield build. But again, there is even more drain expertise if you run a drain build, but primarily more plasma damage, just more damage. It's a really, really great console, worth the slot in my opinion. Alright, so let's go to our seating. Alright, this is pretty much it right here. Alright, now again, it is a Intel pilot chip. Alright, so you want to utilize as much of this as possible. Alright, as far as the specialized seating. I don't know why this is like this. I might have been experimenting with this. Let's change this up. So normally it would not be like this. Normally it would be here. I guarantee this entire build is kind of messed up, but we'll see. And there. And then we get rid of ETL. And we go with beam overload. Where is it? There it is. Alright, so this is pretty much how I would run this ship. You can run it the other way. There's nothing wrong with that, but you're not going to have as much perception. And we'll go into all that once we reach the pilot seating. So, you definitely want to make sure you have proper people where they should be. And that's not just for universal stuff like that, but I'm talking about these officer traits. Superior Romulan Operative, alright, that is pretty much a staple for a lot of builds. You can stack this. It provides a boost to your crit chance and crit severity. Again, all of these guys have Superior Romulan Operative, except for that guy. Alright, so they all do stack. Now, the other ones, alright, Superior Subterfuge, like here, alright, cloaking effect I'm not too worried about, and damage after leaving cloak, obviously there's no cloak on this, I'm not worried. But plus defense, I'm definitely worried about. That's nice to have. Now, the key is Superior Subterfuge. Let's go over to here. This is only Subterfuge. Now, these do not stack. Alright, you could have basic Subterfuge, Superior, and just regular Subterfuge. Now, if you have different ones of those do stack. But the same of one type, they do not. Right, so everyone has something a little different. Obviously, this guy, Superior Infiltrator. Not worried about Cloak. Not worried about Cloak Ambush. But defense, it's nice to have. Our good old Mr. Potato Head here. Huge boost to perception. I know that this was kind of nerfed and everything. As far as, yeah, I still use them. I like it. The Pirate, it's just great to have for space. And the Nausicaa Engineer, again, Pirate for space. Perception and damage. Gotta love it. Your Nausicaan here can be had from ESD, the ambassador next to Admiral Quinn, once you have completed your diplomacy in your reps. And Mr. Potato Head here is from a mission. Now, don't do what I did on my old main and dismiss Mr. Potato Head. You can never get him back. If you dismiss him, you can't run the mission again, you can't get him back. I opened up a ticket with Cryptic, and they were like, yeah, no, sorry. Okay. So, onwards to our actual abilities. Between engineering and science, these are both staples. You need these. These are really quick clickies and everything. They help with the placates. They help with all these debuffs and stuff like that. You need Engineering Team 1, hands down. You also, for Science, need Science Team 1. Again, removing debuffs, it's huge in PvP. You can't, this is non-negotiable for me at least. Let's cover more of the engineering. So our emergency powered engines, you will see that this is absolutely critical for this build because we want to keep moving fast, and we have duty officers that actually affect this. Now, we'll get into that when we're on the duty officers. Just know that this is here for a reason. Everything is very specific. Our auxiliary to Sif, aux to Sif, I'm not worried about the healing. It's nice to have. The resistance ring is nice to have. But again, we also have another duty officer that ties into this. Emergency powered aux. This is incredible. This is also critical to this build. You get a whole bunch of stealth, whole bunch of auxiliary power, and the control, just more control. Incredible to have. You'll see that the more auxiliary power you have on this build, the better you're going to perform. Clearing out our science, obviously Science Team 1. Jam targeting sensors. I do have an Exodus trait that I run on this. So your intel abilities and this jam targeting sensors will proc that. But normally I would probably swap this out to Photonic Officer. Or if you're having a hard time, you're getting beat up on, you're not seeing people, hazard emitters is also really nice. Alright, so our first tactical seating. So Intel Team 1 and 2, yes, they share a cooldown, but they don't share the same amount of cooldown. So you proc one, the cooldown is for 30 seconds, the other goes to 15. Alright, so you always want to have your Intel teams running. Obviously, you know, it's a stealth build. You really, really want to not get shot at in this. Not a lot of healing going on. So, obviously, our beam overload 3, you know, not much to explain there. And you'll see with our other attack is I have scatter volley here. Now, this ties into a trait. All right, and again, activating either one of these tactical abilities will proc our proto matter matrix infusers. So every time these are getting clicked on, you get a 25% chance, and times that by 4, of getting a heal. So again, we'll talk about as far as trait, you know, the trait that affects and everything else, and why it's important to run both of these. For our pilot skills, we have Pilot Team 1, a great little speed boost, immunity to placates, and movement debuffs. It's also really nice. Attack power Lambda 3. This is a huge one. Now, they did just improve all pilot things, so we'll just go off of what the stats are now, obviously. But that perception boost and the accuracy rating is incredible. And conversely to the foe, you need attack power Lambda 3. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You need Lambda 3. Hold together. This is really nice. It's nice for the heals and everything, but I really don't like to be buffed or anything, or debuffed, you know, hazard, you know, from the enemy. So it's really nice. This can be a hard clicky, meaning you have it on your wheel and it's one button to click. But usually I just have this in the background auto executing. That's pretty much it for seating. Visuals of bowel vanity, if anybody cared. It's the best vanity shield there is in the game, in my opinion. All right, let's back out of that. Now, I covered, again, I covered consumables and all that stuff, so I won't really go into inventory too much, but I do carry a lot of stuff with me. It's mostly all for PvP. Um, so you have to carry your stuff in order to change those loadouts or change out certain items, in a quick hurry, but for the most part, that's the inventory. Carry everything with you, is all I'm going to say. Going to our skills, we'll start with space skills, first thing up. So this is kind of a leftover retrain I did from, I think the reflection build, or whatever, I don't know. But I have everything pretty much even, all right, with a little more emphasis on engineering. Now, these up here are really important, and specifically for this build, this part is very, very important. And also this. So, again, you want your stealth to be, insanely high, but this one you have to hit. You have to hit it. There's no way around it for this build for me. Um, Starship Perception doubles the benefit to stealth detection rating that you gain from auxiliary power. So again, the more auxiliary you run, the better your stealth is, all right, or stealth detection. All right, this is crucial. A lot of people are saying, I can't see you, I can't see you. Well, this is one of the clickies that you should definitely have. Not clicky, but something you should have. Going down, I'll just go down. I'll focus on little bits. I mean, you guys can read off on your own character. Control expertise down here. You need it. No way around it. Um, Energy weapon training. Obviously, nothing for torpedoes. I don't care about torpedoes as far as their damage. Targeting expertise. Definitely want that. Some people go for the defensive maneuvering, but they get a little bit confused on the math on how that works as far as the defense ratings, all that good stuff. But weapon amplification. All right, so I don't care on this build and any escort build really. I don't care about crit chance. All I care about is crit severity because I'm running temporal surge. So when I click this clicky, it gives me 100% crit chance. So anytime I want, I'm putting out criticals. Obviously, you want to gear everything you can to severity at that point. So that is why I'm not running anything over here for crit chance, everything here for severity. Obviously, you want things like your long-range targeting sensors. You want to be able to actually see your target from long range, target them where they should be. And down here, again, it was kind of a reflection build I was doing, so I would swap this out. But that's pretty much it, guys. Again, subsystem powers, more power to auxiliary. It's all kind of tying together, I hope, for everyone. All right, ground skills we're not worried about. So space traits. Now, yep, this was also messed up. Okay, so we're going to change this over. Actually, we'll go through it, and we'll change over at the same time. Invincible. Zal trait. You need it. If you're getting down to 0, you can't be killed for a certain amount of time. 2-minute cooldown. Pretty much this is a staple with any build. I mean, unless you're like Buff Jake, who just can't die. Yeah, you need this. Obviously, if you're doing really, really well, you're not dying, you could swap this out on the fly for something that, complements your damage. But for the most part, I keep it on there. This is nice, but this is not what should be there. This should be there. All right, so this and this. All right, these two you really, really want. Rhythmic Rumble comes from the Rising Corvette, I believe. And Cold-Hearted, I can't remember off the top of my head. I want to say the Mirror Universe Escort, but I think I'm wrong. regardless, you could look it up, and find out. These, anytime you're using pilot abilities or aux powered or emergency battery, which it doesn't really matter, you're using a lot of pilot abilities, so these are going to almost always be proccing. Um, yeah, the stats, they speak for themselves. I mean, 5 stacks of this, you know, um, yeah, this is to keep you alive a little bit better. Um, yeah, they're no-brainers, guys. This has to be on most builds, especially if it's pilot, like, especially if it's pilot. Our invasive maneuvers should not be there. That should be, where'd it go? Where did it go? There it is, preferential targeting. So this is why we are running beam overload and scatter volley. We don't have any cannons. Why would you run scatter volley? Well, again, you are proccing that proto-mirror matrix, which gives you some healing. All right, you're also proccing this. All right, so after you activate scatter volley, you get 100% damage to beam overload. So if you know how to click on things, in time, and not just have that cannon scatter volley, auto procking, you want to be, meticulous with your clickies. You want to be, you want to have a system. You click that, then your beam overload, along with all those damage resists, debuffs to the target, all that stuff, you're really going to put a hurting on someone. All right, temporal surge can be had from the Bozeman. This is what gives us crit as soon as we click it. All right, we have crit severity. All right, this is also why we're not running anything that, we don't care about anything, at least, that gives us crit chance. All right, because again, 100% crit chance for 10 seconds. The phase in and out, it does, it's different for NPCs and players, but yeah, I'm not really too worried about that. It's nice, but the crit severity and crit chance are much, much better. Oh God, he's running Exodus. Yeah. So my mantra is, as far as Exodus, until Cryptic frickin' fixes this game, as far as stealth and Exodus and all this, if you're not using this, your enemy is. All right, it's plain and simple. I mean, I hate Exodus, but everyone else is running it. There are ways to counter this. A lot of people don't understand how stealth works. And in their defense, I mean, I agree with them as far as you shouldn't have to do like 4 hours of in-depth research to figure out how stealth works, and then research all these consoles, all these skills, whatever, to combat it. So I get it. Stealth is way too much. But again, it ties into this build. If you're not using it, your enemy is, especially if you're in Karat. I have had 1v1s in ESD where, people would leave immediately. Oh, you're running Exodus, bye. And it's like, dude, I would have swapped ships. Like, I have no problem swapping ships, swapping builds, whatever. But yeah, Exodus seems to be a very, very sore topic for people. But again, there's way to counter this. A lot of people that I know do it successfully, and put my butt on a silver platter, pretty much. All right, move on to space reps. Our counterstroke. So these are all rank 2. Obviously, all the reputations are maxed out. And I found this to be pretty much the staple setup for this build, for almost any build, really. These are pretty much set in stone for me. I might, toy around with them a little bit, but... So, everyone's running some control stuff. You obviously like crit severity. Why not tie this in with counterstroke? When you're affected by control, you gain some severity. So it's really nice to have. A lot of people are running control, so this is, almost always proccing. Critical deflection. So if somebody else is running this build, which there are, builds very, very similar, where people are using temporal surge and stuff like that. Whenever you're hit by criticals, the target loses 75% crit chance for 5 seconds. So that could be a huge game changer if you're really taking a beating. This one I might swap out every now and then, but Aux Power, we're running a ton of it, so why not get those boosts from it? All damage resist rating, all that good stuff. Alright, so advanced targeting systems. Oh, crit severity, love it. Not much else to say about it. Just more crit severity, more the better. And automated protomeric conduits. Again, when you're critically hit, you get some stuff, which is awesome. Again, all this stuff here for the space rep, it's pretty much set in stone. Again, I might swap this out, but... Alright, moving on to personal space traits. So, this is a alien science character. So I get that extra little space trait there. You don't really need it. Plenty of people get by with just the 10 space traits. Superior astrophysicist. It's only there for perception. I like perception. I like to be able to see people. Pseudo submission. Placates. Again, it's a placaty build. Fresh from R&R, so cooldown to your bridge officers. This is pretty much a staple. Blue skies. This is nice. I might swap this out, but for the most part, I like it. Psychological warfare, bonus control. Love us some control. Repair crews. This is nice to have. It does stack. I like things that stack, but you gotta be careful on who you're playing against. And I'm going to do a video on as far as strategy in PvP. But just a really quick mention, you got to make sure you know who you're going up against. If you're going against a tactical character or an engineer, stacks are going to be your bestie. You're going to love stacks. It's going to work out really great. If you're going against another science character, maybe not so much. As soon as they hit you with a subnuke or a subnuclear carrier wave, you lose all your stacks. You are debuffed. It's like you just entered combat again. You gotta work up to get all those buffs and all those stacks. So you really gotta know who you're going up against. Secret command codes, it's awesome. I would recommend it. 10 of 10. Thrill Seeker, I love going fast. If you're not first, you're last, Ricky Bobby. Fragment Tech of AI, huge boost to control expertise. Very good bonus to energy weapon damage based on your control expertise, which if we're pretty much at the max. I mean, 300 control expertise, we're pretty much there. So we're getting a 3% weapon damage there. Boimler Effect, awesome trait. Low B-Store. It pretty much encompasses the entire aux to bat or auxiliary to battery build. Those used to be the go-to builds back in the day. This is an incredible cooldown on all your bridge officer abilities. And I have some additional accuracy. Now, I usually swap this out. I am science character, so I might swap this out for... Where to go? Let's find it. There it is. Either subnucleonic transfer. So, as soon as you subnuke somebody, you drain their power levels and you increase yours. But more... something else. Where to go? There it is. So I am a science player. I would swap this. Actually, I'm going to keep this like this because this is really a good one. On critical hits, restore 2% of captain ability recharge time. So again, we're critically hitting almost all the time, especially when we hit our clickies. So this is just helping with all recharge on your captain abilities. Really nice to have. And that is pretty much it for our traits. Let's go into specializations. So, the way I do this is Intel's always a number 2 priority. And I'll swap between command or miracle worker. Pilot is nice, but a lot of things are broken with pilot as far as clickies and all that stuff, so I stay away from it. So yeah, miracle worker and command. Primarily miracle workers my primary. And I'll swap over to command. The clicky on your primary is really nice. So where is that clicky? There it is. Boost morale. This is a clicky 1-minute cooldown. It removes all debuffs and control effects for 4 seconds to your entire team. So if I'm on a team, I definitely will be running command. If I'm solo, maybe not so much. If I'm getting a lot of control or I'm getting debuffed a lot, I might run it in a 1v1. But this is nice. The Miracle Worker is much nicer. You also get, so your team also gets the bonuses here. And it's a very short cooldown. It's nice. But primarily, no matter which one you pick as your primary, it's up to you. The secondary, it has to be Intel for this build. And I'm going to tell you why. So, in your primary and secondary, if it's primary, you're going to get everything all the way up to tier 4. All right. If it's secondary, you're only going to get up to tier 2 with these little skills. So, pretty much this right here is why you want to be running auxiliary. This is it. This is like, that secret ingredient. This is it. Perception bending. So every point of auxiliary power adds to stealth and perception. Again, we're running so much stealth and placates and everything else. I'm not really worried about that, but that perception is critical. It's absolutely critical. You need that perception to be able to see your target. If you can't see your target, you're not firing. And if you're not firing, you're probably dying. So, yeah, it's an absolute staple. You need it. Get it. All right, moving out of here. Let's go into our seating for our duty officers. We'll go into both of these, actually, because I'm essentially running 10 duty officers for space. All right, starting with our con officer. This can be had from the Phoenix store. Anytime you use evasive maneuvers, or anytime you use emergency powered engines, which is one of the clickies we have, recharge to evasive maneuvers will happen. So, just give you guys a demonstration on how that works. We will click on our evasive maneuvers. It's in progress. And we're going to see a huge cooldown time. Right there, 45 seconds. Now we click emergency power to engines. And boom. We have more evasive maneuvers. If you're not using evasive maneuvers, there's a reason why it's a hard clicky, why it's front and center. All right. The flight speed is nice. That defense rating is also very nice. So if you're in a sticky situation or you need to really quickly get on target, align that 90-degree targeting arc plasma weapon, this is a really great way to do it. So your emergency power is obviously on a cooldown, but with Photonic Officer, using other abilities will only cool that down quicker. So when you got all this stuff going on, pretty much you're almost always in evasive maneuvers if you want to be. Going back to our duty officers. So really good one to have. I really have given a lot of thought into slots and who deserves a spot as far as duty officers, and this is pretty much a really good setup. So we run batteries, and we like running batteries. So we want to run more batteries, 100% cooldown rate on batteries. All right, so my batteries are on auto execute, unless I take them off because I really need to align all these clickies in a certain way because somebody's really tanky or something. But yeah, pretty much cuts the time in half. All right. Warp Core Engineer. This guy is expensive on the exchange. Maybe you can catch him because somebody forgot 0 or something like that. Maybe he'll get out of a box. But 40% chance to remove all debuffs from self when using emergency power abilities. So we have our emergency to engines. We also have auxiliary power to battery. That one doesn't really count, but 40% is a really good chance to remove debuffs. Damage control engineer. So this is expensive. This one in specific I've seen it go all the way up to 1.2 billion. And I've seen people buy it at that price. Usually you can get this between 600 and 800 million EC off the exchange. Again, hopefully somebody forgot a zero and it's your lucky day. You could also get this out of the Delta expansion pack, and that unlocks it for your entire account. So if you decide to make an alt and you really want an alien science, because that is the best of the best for PvP, this will automatically be there for you to claim. Anytime you activate Aux the Sith, which is a hard clicky for us, you placate for 4 seconds. Like, you don't get targeted, all right? And it's for 4 seconds. That's a long, long time for PvP. These two are the same. Now, these are Borg duty officers, obviously. They are expensive. You could swap one of these out if you want. I like having I'm running a lot of engineer and a lot of pilot abilities, so always hitting these, it's a really good chance to cool something down. So having 2 of them, it just increases it. All right, ground. Not many people know this. I mean, I wouldn't call it a super secret society kind of thing, but if you don't know, now you're going to learn. So this, I'm pretty much running, again, 10 duty officers in space. All right, these ground nurses here, all right, they affect space. All right, now don't go to the exchange right now and go click on the first whole regen nurse duty officer. They have to be space. And you're going to see a direct correlation between those that aren't space and those that are. And that correlation will be in the form of price. For these blue ones, I've never seen a purple one. If I did, I don't care how much it is, I'd buy it. These blue ones, though, they can go anywhere from, I'd say, 250 to 500 mil. I was really lucky with this alt. I was able to get all of these for under 20 mil. I don't think whoever was selling them, I don't think they knew what they had. Kind of felt bad, but I mean, it's the exchange, it is what it is. But so you can get lower ones. I mean, it's ground, it's affecting space. Even if you just got the white ones that are only given 5%, that's still an additional 15%. But if you can get 3 of the blue ones, an extra 45% hull regen is very noticeable. This does work. I have confirmed in space and everything, equipping, unequipping. The other guy I have is Elder Malik Itan. I can't remember where he comes from. I think he comes from I think the Jemadar event, where you create a character and all that stuff. But yeah, I think that's where he comes from. Look it up. I mean, it's a 10% all damage to space. It does work. It's nice. And again, it's just another space duty officer that was kind of hidden before. The other guys are just ground guys. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, that's pretty comprehensive. Again, I'm going to go into more detail as far as tactics on when to actually hit all this stuff, because not all this is going to be like, this should not be, I don't know why this build got all messed up, but a lot of this stuff, it's not going to be auto execute. There's a certain way to go about, lining up a kill, breaking down resistance ratings, lining it up, knowing what your opponent is doing, looking for patterns on what they're flying. All right, well, they just did this, so their next move is probably going to be this, because they've done it the last 5 times. So, again, tactics and, stuff like that I'll go into in another video, but that is pretty much it. That is the Deimos build teardown in its entirety. If you have any questions, just, post them down below. I'll get to them. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I could probably retire off of this channel. Yeah, right. All right. So that's it, guys. I hope this helps, and I will see you next time.